Who in the world is Admiral Greenbull? How do his seemingly limitless powers work? And will he turn out to be an enemy or an ally to Luffy's and the Straw Hats' cause? We have been waiting for the reveal of this man ever since Dressrosa, where Doflamingo revealed that the Marines had drafted not one, but two powerhouses for the vacant admiral positions left by Aokiji at Akainu. And now, after many years of starving to see what this man's power looks like, with Oda-sensei feeding us nothing but a silhouette or two here and there, we finally have seen what the third Marine Admiral next to Kizaru and Fujitora looks like and is capable of. Greenbull, or Aramaki as he's actually called, is a tall, muscular man with shoulder-long black hair, a pair of badass looking black shades, and smoking a cigarette, which funnily enough goes kind of against his otherwise pretty green image. He's refusing to wear a shirt under his admiral coat, rightfully so. I mean, I wouldn't wear a shirt either if I had that upper body strength, and he carries an incredibly sleek looking katana without any sheath, but simply jammed into his belt. I think I just stabbed myself there. Anyways, he has a massive kanji tattoo on his chest. In order: death, river, heart, middle. The last two kanji together read Shinju, which means double suicide committed by lovers, but it can also mean one's true feeling or true motives. So I guess the tattoo reads something along the lines of lover's suicide on the river of death, while it might also hint at Aramaki having hidden true motives compared to what he openly says. I want you to remember that because it will be important in just a second when we talk about Greenbull's true intentions. He also wears really tight pants with a Sakura motif on them, going very well with his plant-themed powers. Now, you will have noticed, I think, that Aramaki in general has an incredibly Japanese vibe around him. Just like the actor Harada Yoshio, who was famous for his Ronin and gangster roles that he is inspired by, I think that Greenbull has pretty strong Yakuza vibes. The straight blade, no shirt under a jacket, the sunglasses, and the cigarette. This is meant to be a classic Japanese gangster. And it once again brings up a really interesting and honestly important question that people have been asking for quite a while now. Is Aramaki from Wano? Because while the world of One Piece has a lot of Japanese influence, simply because it's written by a Japanese author, predominantly for a Japanese-speaking audience, there is one place in particular that is fully centered around Edo period Japan and Japanese culture, that even has the Yakuza as an actual institution, and that place is Wano. This was also speculated for Fujitora, by the way, or Isho as he's called, who also has an incredibly strong samurai theme. And as we know, both of them not only got drafted together, but they also seem to get along really well and talk like old friends. And so honestly, what other place in One Piece could you possibly find such randomly powerful people to draft into an admiral position than Wano? The one country the world government has never dared to attack because of its powerful warriors, and that even Akainu doesn't want to send troops to. Remember, the admirals are the most powerful force that the Marines have at their disposal. The top tier fighters they have to face people like Whitebeard or Shanks. The original three admirals were shaped into these monsters over decades within the Marines. So really, the fact that they drafted someone from the outside into this highest of positions really speaks for their power, I think. Oda-sensei has actually more or less confirmed in an SBS that Fujitora and Greenbull share similarities and might have ulterior motives that go against the world government. Both Isho and Aramaki have been ignoring direct orders from Akainu multiple times, and Fujitora even abolished the warlord system that was one of the government's most prized balancing powers in the world. One very intriguing possibility is that Fujitora or Ryokugyu, or maybe both of them, are former daimyo or Yakuza bosses that had left Wano before or when Kaido took over the country. And so a number of clues that people like my good friend Mr. Morch have identified actually suggested that Greenbull might have been Shimotsuki Ushimaru, a man who has an actual bull on his coat as his symbol, and has the word Ushi, which does mean bull, literally as part of his name. By the way, in the anime, the bull on Ushimaru's coat is literally green, literally a green bull. The very same Shimotsuki Ushimaru that now has been heavily suggested to be either Zoro's father or at least some sort of relative. One awesome example that Morge brings up is how both Zoro and Ryokugyu are introduced as fasting, with both Luffy and Fujitora commenting on it. Ryokugyu says that he would only break his fast for a pretty girl, and Zoro literally breaks his fast to eat the little girl's onigiri that 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚙 has made fun of and stomped on. Now, after knowing what Ryokugyu and Ushimaru looks like, your first reaction might be the very same as mine. These two look nothing alike. At least that was my first genuine impression. But then I took these two images of the two and put them together in Photoshop, and you know what? It works. Like, do you see what I'm seeing? The eyebrows and the eyes match up pretty much perfectly. The nose is exactly the same, his mouth not only has the same expression, but even the cigarette and the grass straw are in the exact same position. The only real difference really is the hairstyle that, let's be real, is probably really easily changed. And also don't forget that 20 years have passed between that scene in the cave with Yamato and today. And so if I had to bet any money on who Admiral Greenbull truly is, I would absolutely go with Shimotsuki Ushimaru, who also is Zoro's father. And I think that that would explain everything we have seen from Greenbull so far absolutely perfectly. Of course, he would come right back to Wano after Kaido's defeat. He and the other daimyos tried fighting back against Kaido and his armies, but were defeated. He probably joined up with the Marines in the first place due to his hatred for pirates and what they did to his country, similar to how Fujitora couldn't stand Doflamingo's unjust rule over Dressrosa. I mean, they might have joined the Marines to finally defeat pirates like Kaido in the first place. I actually think it's quite possible that both Greenbull and Fujitora only got their respective devil fruits also when they joined up with the Marines and were drafted as admirals. Greenbull ignoring Akainu's orders and coming to Wano to see what's going on anyways would be only logical if it's actually his home country. Not only would he want to make sure that the beast pirates are actually taken care of for good, which is literally the very first thing he does when arriving, but he would also want to make sure that no other pirate just takes Kaido's place, which is why he's planning to take Luffy's head as well. He would want to see a free Wano, not simply one tyrant replaced by the next. Because as far as Aramaki knows, Luffy is a wanted dangerous criminal, and he hasn't met Luffy yet. Luffy, who now has a ridiculous 3 billion berry bounty. Very much unlike what we here on this channel have with 61,100,000 berries for each subscriber. So rather than becoming a Yonko, our big goal is fighting hard to overtake the slimiest man in all of One Piece, who for some reason has a bounty of 99 million. Please go help me win this fierce race to 100 million berries by hitting subscribe and getting freshly baked One Piece content every single week. Now, my biggest argument for Greenbull loving Wano and hating the Beast Pirates for what they did, however, is this panel from chapter 1053, where we see Udon Prison from afar. Compare this panel here, where we first get introduced to the prison as it's surrounded by a deadly wasteland, to this. Greenbull is literally reviving Wano and returning all of its lushness and nature. He uses all of the Beast Pirates' energy to rejuvenate Wano, and he's doing that to all of the country as he's making his way from Udon to the flower capital. This isn't just a random side effect of his powers, because otherwise we would have seen flowers and plants just spring up all around him on Marijoa as well. No, I think this is Greenbull actively using all of the energy he has absorbed to do this and green up Wano. And so the question really is, what will happen once Greenbull actually reaches the capital? Because I personally think that he is quite serious about taking Luffy's head. Aramaki seems to be no big fan of the world government, just like Fujitora, but that is also true for Akainu as well. There's a lot of movement in the Marines right now to reform and become independent from the government, including people like Garp, Kobe, X-Drake, but also the Fleet Admiral himself, And so I think that Greenbull can be against the world government, but still pro Akainu, supporting his style of leadership and trying to get his approval. And this actually caught my interest as well. As you might know, the admirals follow a very interesting color scheme. You have the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, that you can use to mix any other color with. Mixing red and blue, for instance, gives us Fujitora's purple, and I think Fujitora's justice is indeed located somewhere between Akainu's red and Aokiji's blue. Incredibly strict and merciless like Akainu, but open to exceptions and reason like in Luffy's case, similar to Aokiji. In that sense, Greenbull would be a mix between Aokiji and Kizaru. Incredibly powerful and destructive when unleashed, as we could see, but also pretty laid back and curious, like Kizaru was on Sabaody. This goes very well with Greenbull's relaxed nature that we also saw on Marijoa when he was hanging out with Fujitora. And so should Greenbull actually turn out to be Ushimaru, however, in other words, Zoro's father, that would instantly solve my one big issue with the ending to Wano so far: Zoro's unresolved connection to the country. So Greenbull's solo arrival at the flower capital might very well be exactly that. Zoro meeting his father and either learning about his heritage, or he might already be aware about it and simply recognize his father, depending on how young he was when he got separated or abandoned by his parents. I think an admiral crashing the party in the capital like Aokiji kind of did during Water 7 would be epic enough by itself, but this sort of connection would make it even better than it already is by itself, honestly. But let's also talk about Aramaki's powers by themselves here for a bit, because just how Wood is incredibly overpowered in the world of Naruto, they seem to be incredibly overpowered here as well. Not only can Greenbull build any structure with his powers, he is literally able to take life energy and redistribute it by growing plants of any type. This seems just ridiculously powerful even by Admiral standards. It also really makes me wonder what type of devil fruit this actually is. My first reaction was to categorize this as a paramecia or special paramecia fruit, being able to generate plants with his body, but at the same time, the fact that he can drink sake through the roots and steal powers from others for himself almost makes it seem like his body might be made from plants, as in he might be a plant Logia fruit user. I'm just super curious to find out what his actual devil fruit is called and categorize that. And of course, find out more about his true intentions and what he's like as a person. Since we just found out that Momo's grandfather, Kozuki Sukiyaki, is alive as well, if Greenbull is a former daimyo, he would surely recognize him as well. And so, no matter what way you look at it, Greenbull's introduction, together with the reveal of the new Yonko, has changed the power dynamics of the One Piece world fundamentally. And if you want to understand what that means for the future of the One Piece world, you really shouldn't miss this video right here.